Saturday, February 7th, 1:11 p.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. We have a big pending event this weekend occurring in the nation of Japan. Sunday, Japan elections. So I'm going to go over currencies in this video. Japanese elections will have political party, of course, that will win, one or the other. They have a policy, agenda. That policy will affect Japanese currency of yen, the Japanese central bank yields, aka interest rates, cross the borders, because they do trade. That will have a correlation effect, impact on the United States. Not necessarily the same day, down the road. And as well as how aggressive they go on those policies. The nation of Japan, for years, has been using their capital, their money, to buy U.S. Treasury yields. If you don't know much about U.S. Treasury yields, the federal agency, the U.S. Treasury Department, by mandates of Congress, years ago, we used to run a balanced budget in the United States before World War II. We don't collect enough taxable income to pay for the government spending. So we sell U.S. treasuries and we pay interest on those. Japan is one of the largest nations that purchase the United States debt, and we pay interest on that. United States, internal, we have mutual funds, hedge funds, municipalities, states, governments, federal, state, city, county, and other nations that also purchase these U.S. treasuries. But again, Japan is one of the top nations. I think they're currently the number one nation that purchases the most U.S. treasury yields. Used to be China, I recall. That changed several years ago because of the current administration policy from the prior year and prior years. So whatever happens this Sunday, I've been sharing past weeks, past months, trade ideas on the Japanese currency of the yen, as well as other currencies. But because of this event that's happening this Sunday, I'm focusing mostly on the Japanese yen. U.S. financial markets. We have several different financial markets. Most people are familiar with the term the stock market. The stock market, the primary hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. New York time to trade stocks. On the far right is a stock ETF of the currency, the Japanese yen. On the far left is the financial markets of the futures markets. There are several futures exchanges, like there are several stock exchanges and other exchanges. But this, on the far left, is on the CME Group exchange. And again, this is the Japanese yen. They're both daily charts. One of the differences is the futures markets on the left. They are leveraged financial instruments. They are derivatives. They require margin. They trade longer hours. The futures markets trade from Sunday evening up till Friday. They close 1 hour, 5 p.m., and we open at 6. The same group does futures. Yes, you have more access, more time to trade in the futures markets before and after the stock market. That gives you an edge. They both, the stock ETF I have here on the right and the futures I have on the left, they both offer options in their own exchanges as well too. So you can see on the left, the main Japanese yen currency on the futures market, there's a financial company that buys those futures, and they made a stock ETF you could invest in because the margin is so huge in the futures. Or some people just don't want to take that unnecessary or high risk, so they choose the stock ETF. So you see the correlation of them very similar. That being said, let's dive a little bit deeper now. We're going to do a top down on the Japanese yen, multiple time frames. Let's switch. Now we're on the Japanese yen futures, 3 grids, the far right, 5-year chart monthly, the middle chart, 1-year weekly, and the far left chart, 3-month daily. Since we're only beginning of the new month, the second month of this year, go to the far right, the current month, inside candle. Last month, see the top of that green candle and the bottom of that green candle, huge wick, huge trading range. Japanese yen below the high of 2024, below the high of 2023, and much more. Yeah, the yen has been trending lower the past years. It also has been making a key level zone down here for buyers. See this gray area? Testing those, and buyers have been coming in, and the trend has been reversing. Speculating bullish. Again, speculation. The weekly chart. The past week, the one that closed yesterday, big red candle, lower high, lower low, coming after a bearish pin bar. Look at the low of the year. Big wicks on the bottom. In the daily chart, Friday closed inside candle. Friday, from here, the trend reversed, went down. Look at this daily chart, a demand zone. So that's the yen versus dollar. When this declines, that means the US dollar is getting stronger against the Japanese yen. It's called a pair. There's 2 currencies, the pair on the futures market. The CME group futures, symbol /6J for Japanese yen. Not all brokers offer access to futures. Let's go over to another currency now. Look at the US dollar index. Again, same thing. Far left, daily, middle, weekly, and the far right, monthly. US dollar index, inside candle for the current month. Last month made that new low versus last year. So again, US dollar trending down. US dollar index comprises several currencies. Top 3 currencies, Japanese euro, then Japanese yen, then pound. Look at the middle chart. The trend of the US dollar is trending up. We made this bullish pin bar 2 weeks ago. Last week made this green candle that closed yesterday, higher high, higher low. Right now, the trend is still up. Key level right here. Actually, let me extend this one out to on the monthly. Then out a little bit more. Doing some house maintenance. Good charting skills. Give myself kudos. Good job out of me. Look at the far left, the daily chart. Top yellow horizontal line, the high of this year. And the bottom, the low of this year. Coming off the bottom, the current trend is up. Yesterday, closed red, lower high, lower low, the trend reversed. The prior day, Thursday, we went in and tested this key zone. This is a big red candle, almost a big solid body. A bearish impulse move down. Midpoint, we tested it. We failed to continue going higher, reversed. Give you some insight. I shared my best currency video year to date, the prior day, about the US dollar. I shared a great trade idea. If you took it, good job out of you. It was an intraday day trading. Good insight. So again, we see here, far right, US dollar inside candle for the monthly, the weekly trending up. Friday made a reversal. Let's continue. Going to look at major currencies against the US dollar. We'll do the higher time frame, the weekly first. So the major currencies that are inside the US dollar index I'll include, and several other ones I watch, to me, I consider very important. Again, the largest currency US dollar index is the euro. Self-explanatory right here, top left, I have it spelled out. Euro, the stock symbol, the future symbol, and the time frame, weekly. This is a 5-year chart, the euro. See, the low of 2022, the low of 2025. So obviously it's been trending up against the US dollar. And last week, this past Friday closing, lower high, lower low. Look how small that trading range is. Big, huge green candle, bullish engulfing, trapped all those shorts, followed by a bearish pin bar, typically reversal. That's what we have here. Some key levels for setups. And go in there, I'll be looking for a single for a trade if I decide to use that higher time frame. Of course, I'm going to decide when it gets there. But there are other multiple time frames I look at too, which again, that US dollar video is solid. It's the best currency video. I say anybody post it year to date for publics to view. Hands down. Japanese yen, again, weekly, 5-year chart. Huge trend all the way back here, 2021. So looking here, here's the high of 2024, low 2024, huge consolidation, building a lot of energy for a potential breakout for a new trend. Again, it could break out to the upside or break down. But again, building a lot of energy. And now here, look at the weekly, building a lot of energy here for breakout, for a trend. Good opportunity to look for that entry signal when it's in consolidation and appreciate the trend that occurs once you're in that trend. Ride it as long as possible. Opportunities. British pound, again, up strong too. Here's a low, 2022. Australian dollar, up strong too. Yeah, again, there are reasons geopolitically and other reasons economically, central banks that affect all currencies. If you don't know, the current administration in the United States, they want lower yields, aka lower interest rates, and lower US dollar value. Lower US dollar value also has the risk, at which it is doing, adding to inflation. You can't have the whole cake. Canadian dollar, closed inside candle. Swiss franc, yeah, considered a safe haven currency. And look how it is, made a new high for the past several years. Last week made the new high, bearish pin bar. So again, Japanese yen, Swiss franc, US dollar are considered safe haven currencies, not necessarily all attracting people at the same time. Again, here, Swiss franc outperforming the US dollar, outperforming the yen. Amazing. Mexican peso, look at this, up strong from the beginning of the year, up strong. Yeah, green for the week. Made a lower low, lower high, but huge reversal too. So broke and closed above midpoint of that big till. Japanese yen, Mexican peso. Their nation had elections recently, like 1 or 2 years ago, or I think it was last year. Yeah. So again, policies they have of the current political party benefiting, of course, us, the United States too, the tariffs, helping Mexican peso get stronger against the US dollar. And the Chinese yuan. Now this this currency symbol trades in the Forex market, not the futures market. That's why it's 6 letters. So it works differently than the futures market, where here it's the Chinese yuan versus the US dollar. So when this trends down, that's weaker US dollar, stronger yuan. So again, the Chinese yuan is performing better against the US dollar. We also made a new low this year. Yep. This past week, the Chinese yuan broke the low of last week, meaning, again, the US dollar is weaker now, further weaker against the Chinese yuan, paying more for your imports. Just like Mexican peso, when that currency goes up, pay more for the imports. Canada, the United States, I recall, the 2 largest trading partners. Again, I say again, Canada, Mexico are the 2 largest trading partners to the United States. If you're interested, here is the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. New low for the year. Underperforming. Yep. So those are the daily. We're going to finish this off with a bonus. Not too often do I include this. The daily chart of the currencies, just to get some insight of situational awareness, how they close Friday, leading up to tomorrow's election in Japan. I already showed you there's US dollar on the daily chart. So here we're looking at the euro daily chart, close green on Friday. Look, we had a trend down and then made that close green. Again, here's the Japanese yen. I mentioned it closed inside candle on Friday. This is a big demand zone here, trading opportunity if it comes in there. So it's a setup. If it goes in there, I'll look for a single side if that's a good entry. British pound, look at that, also closed green. From coming that trend down, closing green on Friday. Australian dollar, well, closed strong on Friday. Made a lower low, but also a higher high. Huge engulfing body. Nice. Canadian dollar. Yep. Closed green, but back inside the range of that red body. Swiss franc. Look how small these currency, look how small the last daily trading days were. The past 4 trading days. Really tight, building a wedge. Gonna work on this. Take the top of that red candle. And the bottom of that red candle. Run it up. So there we have a wedge. And in that wedge is a coil. Getting very tight. It will break out one way or the other. Remember, Swiss franc is considered one of the safe haven currencies. Very interesting what's been occurring there recently. And right here, strong, big green candle, break out from there. So you have this trend down. The last candle before that big impulse move up was that yellow candle, inside candle. Strong impulse move up. That looks like a sweet spot for a potential trade idea if we come back down there. Just shows that was the last candle before the big move up. Nice, whoever caught that trade, nice. And then from there, back to back inside candles and took off like a rocket ship. Interesting. Works well when you see them on the higher time frames. And the Mexican peso, also on Friday, big strong green candle and engulfing. Okay, Chinese yuan. Like I said, US dollar, new low. Friday even against it. And the daily chart of Bitcoin. Friday, new low for the year. Lower high, lower low. That's the current situation. Thank you as always, spending just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support.